Disclaimer. Welcome to Two Cops, One Donut podcast. The views and opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Two Cops, One Donut, its host, or affiliates. The podcast is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. We do not endorse any guests' opinions or actions discussed during the show. Any content provided by guests is of their own volition, and listeners are encouraged to form their own opinions. Furthermore, some content is graphic and has harsh language. Viewer discretion advised and is intended for mature audiences. Two Cops, One Donut and its host do not accept any liability for statements or actions taken by guests. Thank you for listening. All right, welcome back to Cops, One Donut. I'm your host, Eric Levine. Today, I have with me Kevin Cox, my experiment. How are you, sir?
Thrilled to be your experiment
You are.
guinea pig today.
You are my guinea pig. So for those watching and listening, I got a new switcher. So you can see. That's Kevin. Now you can see him. And then you got our wide angle.
Oh.
So I'm going to be controlling this while we talk. And then we even have, look at that fancy thing, where we can both be seen at the same time.
But now I need my I need a monitor there, and you need one here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to get that eventually.
Eventually, Eric?
That was $60.
Today was the day.
That was $60. So
cheap.
So that was $60. So.
Bottle of bourbon cost me a lot more than.
Speaking of, yes, let me hold this up. Kevin brought
Not advertising, but gifting.
Bardstown.
Oh my.
Double-barreled Discovery Series. I've never had this. This is Series 13, lucky number, and it is October. So let's crack this guy open. Tell me a little bit about this, sir.
This is brand new to me too. Read reviews on it, hadn't been able to find it. It wasn't easy, but I've got a friend at a place in Plano that he'll give me. Hey, I've got multiples of these in. But
Smells good. Your glass there, sir.
there you go.
Get you about halfway up that cube. There you are.
Thank you.
Same for me.
I remember this is how it started last time.
It is how it started last time. I know.
Except my taste in bourbon has gone way up since then.
Nice.
That was like 4 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those listening and wondering, we started, me and Kevin did this 4 years ago when you were leaving Grand Prairie.
Yeah, I had just retired in June of 21.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I jumped into the private sector.
So in that, can you kind of, I just want, because we're not going to do the same format we did last time because we've already had you on. So if they want to go back and watch that episode.
It would be better this time, I hope.
Yeah, well, hopefully. But with you retiring and being in the private sector, just can you go back and kind of give people a brief overview of your police experience and kind of what you specialized in?
Sure. I was retired from Grand Prairie in 21. The last few years that I was there, I built and managed the Intel Center. And I use that word carefully, Intel Center.
Okay.
Because we now know there's so many different distinctions.
Yes.
Before that, I'd worked in patrol. I'd worked in field training. I'd worked in the worst named unit in the world, problem solving. That was the worst name for a unit ever because everything's a problem.
Yes.
So it became at times kind of like the X-Files of police work at the agencies. Like whatever didn't fit in a category anywhere, send it to Kevin's guys. Call him. So you get angry bees, neighborhood disputes, fugitive work.
Right.
Yeah. So we got a little bit of everything. Then we moved from there, kind of split things off. There was a crime prevention unit. So it was an interesting time for me because it's like not everybody wants to go to what some people call like soft policing, or all the community fair stuff and everything.
Right.
I was not itching to do it, but in that unit, it actually opened my perspective up a ton. I actually really looked much wider at how the city ran and how all the perspectives of the people that were way above me in the chain of command. I interacted a lot more with them with that unit because their focus is often a little different. So learned a lot from the working inside of the problem solving unit. We then kind of morphed into a human trafficking unit after a while. I had a couple of guys there that were in the unit that were just ravenous to go after that, and they were very good at it. So we worked alongside a lot of the DHS task force group guys, and because Grand Prairie bordered that 360 corridor, there was more business than we could take care of. We did that for a good long while, and then I went back over to patrol, then came right back out not long, and into the Intel side of things. And Intel is where I had two really awesome parts of my career, and they ended. The first one, obvious, when I worked dope in the first part, real early, really early. That was great, and it was timed right. Nobody should do their dope work when they're 40s.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain look to that,
Right.
but you've got to have more of a story built up. If you're 40 something years old and you're trying to sell dope or sling it or buy it,
Yeah.
you should have more of a track record out there.
Yeah.
If you're 20 something looking 15, yeah, it's okay to be the new guy. But so I did that early. That was exciting. That was as addictive as any drug I did. That was that was 24/7. Loved it, lived it. When everybody else was out going and getting married, I was chasing 8 balls of meth. So
Not to use.
no, I did not ever
To catch.
Yeah, just to be clear.
Yeah.
But the other kind of end cap to my career was intelligence, and it was fantastic. It was what was in my wheelhouse that I've been growing with it. I mean, I hit my chief up for drones in 2010. Which was early,
Way early.
yeah. But I saw where things were kind of going that way,
Right.
and he held me back a little bit, and he was right to do so. He said, "I think the FAA and the White House are kind of trying to work this out a lot. This could take a few years. Let's let them settle this out before we dive in." So I basically was just keeping up with the technology, and I just told my chief, I said, "I don't want us to be late to the party when this really breaks loose."
Yeah.
And we weren't. We were not late to the party. In fact,
No,
we were early.
It's still trying to kick off.
The party's still going.
Yeah, it's still trying to kick off. There's a lot of agencies right now, including my own, which I'm from a very large agency, and we still don't have a full DFR program. So for those listening, DFR is the Drone First Responder Program, and that is where you no longer are deploying a drone out of the trunk of your car, which is kind of a common practice now with the little DJIs or similar branded drones. But now we actually have these pods that sit up on top of buildings or on landing pads in the middle of, city property. Usually it's off a city property, and it's all controlled remotely from either a real-time crime center or an actual drone first responder room where it's just for that stuff. And that is what we're kind of talking about. That's just now happening. And you guys were trying to do this in 2010. So
yeah, I watched it for a while, and I guess probably in 16, 17, things started picking up a lot. A few agencies were starting to get clearances but it was kind of baby steps. I want to say in 17 and 18, right in there. Too many years ago now. I don't remember it as well, but that's when the right drones were being made, or better drones for it. And there was a pathway to get clearance to fly. Now, flying where I was at in Grand Prairie, Texas, was the alphabet soup of air classes.
Right.
We're at the bottom of the runways at DFW Airport next to Arlington, and we had our own airport right next to us, and then a sometimes used reserve base on the other side. And then we just had so many airspace issues. It was complex. So we started kind of small, 3 drones, I think is what we started with. A couple of like early Mavics, and then a big, what would we call it, 210.
Okay.
That's how long ago that was.
Yeah.
And we learned everything as we went. We had a couple of friends that were helping us. And in the beginning, really the only thing out there were DJIs. And I developed a friendship with a guy named Wayne Baker, who went on to retire and go from drone work and fire service and stuff to go on. And he's been at DJI for years now, at least 5.
Okay.
And I know there's all kinds of stuff swirling with DJI and things like that right now, politically and technically. But he helped us build our first kind of team and set the first training. And that went from just a few people and a couple of drones.
Yeah.
And then by the time I left, I think there were 24-hour rotations of, I think there may have been at peak, it was 22 pilots, I think, on the roster.
Okay.
And more aircraft than I can even count. We had these huge tables set up with battery banks that timed. I had one guy in my unit named Marcos. He was the most organized, because I'll call it that instead of giving it a DSM designation
Yeah.
for a disorder. But
Fair.
he was incredibly organized, and he managed to get all of that organized because batteries were life then.
Yeah.
And what I was spending on batteries, just it was hard to explain that to an administration. Say, oh yeah, hey, I need another 5,000 or 6,000 for batteries
Yeah.
this year. I don't need it again next year.
Continuous rotation. Yeah. The way that the drones are trying to get to today is they are specifically trying to make it so officers no longer have to swap the batteries out themselves. So the way that the drones are trying to work now is, in theory, is the drone lands itself in the pods. A battery is changed out through the mechanics of that pod, and then the drone can go right back up in the air, because most drones typically last about 20 minutes on a flight time. And that's the trunk ones. It all depends on the weather. If the wind is bad,
temperature.
Temperature.
You get super cold or super hot, your battery's tougher for that.
Yes. So that's some of the technological things that we're trying to deal with, and then the battery life, how long those will last, because the more flight hours you get behind a battery, the battery life starts to dwindle.
And I don't think there's ever a time, even though we're moving into DFR, it's actually kind of, there's 2 lanes of traffic here in just my estimation. And I'm not in the middle of the drone game anymore, but watching it closely, and there's still a lane of travel for the tactically fielded drones. There's still a big use for that. And there's a variety of types and things that get used in that area. Whereas DFR is a responder drone. It's used in a little more narrow scope, but it accomplishes a lot.
Yes.
There's all kinds of, they'll call it force multipliers, but that's just a weird term to me. It's a huge efficiency lever in things and what it can do and when and how fast. The trick now is everybody figuring out batteries.
Yeah.
There's this, I kind of consider it this golden point of UAS aviation and public safety, and that's when you can get something really up there in the air to be able to loiter or hang around and fly for an hour. Yeah. Once we get there, that's going to be a big kind of crossover point where these become boilerplate everywhere, because it's at that point it's too efficient to not pay attention. We've had lots of new normals in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at the cars and how they're outfitted and kitted now compared to 30 years ago. 30 years ago, you had a box that had a switch with 3 positions on it. You had a button for a siren. You had some version of something strapped onto the dash that had a notepad on it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that car probably cost $25,000. Kitted up.
Yeah.
Right now, you're rolling out $65,000 to $100,000 in a car.
Yep.
Okay, this is that new normal in technology that happens routinely now. DFRs, when I was with a company at that time that was breaking into DFR, and when we first heard the numbers that was going to cost an agency, we were like, oh, I don't know, how fast we can move that normal that way. It's moving that way, remarkably fast. The price tags of 2 and 3 and 400,000 or $1 million a year for drone programs.
Yep.
That was unimaginable when I started mine. It was, they were shocked at what I was trying to say. They looked at them like, literally I had some chiefs refer to them as toys, and they believed they were really going to just sit on a shelf somewhere eventually. They just weren't going to use.
So 2 questions actually. One, you said you don't like the term force multiplier. What about force multiplier turns you off?
It almost, as far as within public safety, we get it, and it kind of applies to all kinds of things. But are you talking about head count? Are you talking about speed to outcome, or accuracy to outcomes? And there's all kinds of things that go with that. So when you talk about force multipliers, it's a funky kind of term for the public to absorb.
Yeah.
First, force just sounds great to the public now, right? No, not so much, right?
Yeah.
So force multiplier may mean to the public more force.
Fair.
So instead of force multiplier, there's got to be a better terminology for this to explain in an easy, digestible way for the public what drone programs do, what all kinds of technologies do. I'm heavy on the data side now and analytics, what those do. And for force multiplier, it feels like an old term really does. These things do can be dramatic. What we were able to do with drones was dramatic. What I can do right now with the company I work with, what we do in efficiencies and capabilities is stunning. It was the stuff I dreamed of, just years ago. That's how fast it's moving. But I'd love for us to come up with a better term than things that fly around the air other than force multipliers.
Right. I guess.
And that's not me being, like super careful about every word I pick or anything, because people know me. I'm not always super careful about every word I pick. But
I think the fair part behind saying force multipliers, you have to explain it. So if I'm going to say it, even if it's publicly or privately in a town hall meeting, but publicly like on a news conference or something like that, I would always take the time, like, hey guys, we'll use LPRs, for instance. LPRs are a hot button issue right now with privacy and Big Brother and stuff like that. So when you start to talk about it, I tell people, I'm like, the only place that the agency is currently putting LPRs is in public areas. And this is meant to be a force multiplier. And what I mean by that is we can't afford to hire more officers. If an officer could stand there on the street physically by himself and get this information, that's where these cameras are going. So start to put it in those terms. I said, but since we can't hire more officers, now we have cameras standing in their stead in multiplying the amount of cops that we could have out there that are static and watching 24/7, which is meant to help. But I do get where they're coming from when they're talking about, having a force, how that can come across, poorly. It's like verbal judo. Now what do we say?
I think we have so many technologies out there that are accomplishing that force multiplier goal. I think it's good to flesh that out in front of people so they really understand where they're landing in this, because there's confusion in the public and, frankly, confusion within public safety about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And it's getting sorted out. And this is, these are things that are normal paths that you travel as technology changes.
Right.
When people ask, like, well, do you think they're going to do away with this or that or the other? So, well, I think if you follow the path of powerful tools, get powerful policies, workflow, and oversight, power needs powerful things behind it. And I think when you have those in place and you are really upfront with everybody about it and how you're using it and all of the checks and balances in it, I think these tools will be preserved.
Right.
I think when you don't explain that fully, and so many people didn't understand that in the beginning of tech making big leaps in law enforcement.
Yeah.
I remember way back. Remember pepper spray came out?
Yeah.
And
flammable pepper spray.
Yes, we learned hard, horrible lessons.
Yeah.
But we grew on it.
Yeah.
Same with tasers. We grew on it too. Now, tasers, I can't even imagine how many lives and injuries on both sides that's saved. Pepper spray too, but pepper spray is like that last thing you want to use.
Yeah, because it's the gift that keeps on giving to everybody that's there.
But we learned how to explain it to everybody. We learned how to use it better. We developed policies, workflows. All of it flows to everything that we're doing, like up to what we did yesterday.
Yeah.
I love being on the very cutting edge of that technologies, and I remember when I was going to retire, and I hadn't planned on retiring at that time. I just got an offer that was just too good. But I had drones, data work, and the LPR sensor technologies. These are the areas that I was interested in going into a second career on. And at that time, drones were, that was a scary landscape. Companies came and went over a period of months, so that was not big for me. But I was approached by a company that wanted me to come over and build something. And I loved building things. I did it through my whole police career. I would work inside of units that were new or new initiatives. Stuff that was great. It was
and you were building for law enforcement, so that is a way to keep serving.
Absolutely,
which is something that I think cops resonate with. So
I was very lucky when I retired. First, I had somewhere that I was going to go directly to. I talked to probably 25, 30 cops a year. I don't mean not just a casual conversation, but have a call with them about what their ideas are, what they want to do next. And it's much harder for so many of them. I consider myself incredibly fortunate to have been approached, about, hey, when are you thinking of retiring? And they knew that I was getting close. I was 28, almost 29 years total time. Yeah. And I was happy. I had built something great. It was ready to be handed off to
Yep.
somebody. And how many cops do you know that leave a little bitter, a little burned out, done with it, walking away?
Right.
Yeah, I didn't leave that way. I left good.
Yeah.
And then I realized as soon as I was outside of law enforcement, but on the technology sector side and the private, I was probably within 6, 7 months to a year, I was probably meeting and talking to more cops than I did in a week at my own police station, all over the country. And that was great. It's been great ever since then. And I tell people, when they ask me, okay, you went from there to there in police work, you did these things. The opportunity that I was given to build out an intelligence center was single-handedly the thing that gave me that career opportunity afterwards. I had a chief that he assumed it was in my wheelhouse, and so he gave it to me, and then I didn't sleep for 4 or 5 years, but it was great, and I learned a ton. You fail a lot, and I realized that actually failing and stuff like that is not bad. We typically do not like the word failure in law enforcement. It's on the tech side, it's okay. You're going to have to fail if you're going to push forward and get past points.
Yeah, we had this conversation not too long ago at work. I'm just, I had an officer that was actually, I don't want to fuck up. I don't want to mess up. I'm like, I want you to. Like this, I want you to mess up because you won't make the mistake again. More than likely, you won't make that mistake again. I always relate stuff back to jujitsu. Like, you suck at jujitsu for like your first year at least. You suck, but you keep making mistakes and you fix them and you get better and you get better and you get better. Learning from failure is, especially in a safer environment, is amazing to do. And I kind of want to go back to what you were talking about with the advancement of technology and another way to put people at ease. This is one because I'm a big proponent of technology. I think it's a great thing to have. And I'm also that guy that's like, I don't want Big Brother to overstep.
Sure.
And I don't want to ruin a good tool. I don't want to be the guy that gets a good tool taken away from police work, because this stuff can help solve a lot of crimes. But with the advancement of technology, and one of the things that I use to help put citizens at ease, it goes, yes, it may seem like we're going into this crazy police state and stuff like that, but you want accountability for officers. Like, that's always the big push, is like accountability for officers. Well, nothing helps keep cops more accountable than the advancement of technology.
Yeah.
Because now you got LPRs out there all over the place, but guess who else they're watching? They're also watching the officers. You've got all this technology that requires, logins and tracks every piece of data that these cops are touching. We never used to have that. You've heard the old stories where they'd be using their NCIC and stuff to look up ex-girlfriends or try to find a girl's number and stuff like that. And there was no checks and balances on that stuff. Try to do that today. Try to go out there today and do that without there being a track record.
I think most cops now that are got into this within the last 10 years are fully aware of what an audit trail means.
Yeah.
Okay, they get it.
Yeah.
And there's been examples in most departments where somebody got hemmed up that way in some way. So in some ways, we had to go through that learning curve, just like what I talked about in all kinds of learning experiences. We had to go through that too in law enforcement for people to figure out, by object examples.
Right.
You can tell them all day long, don't do that until somebody has a consequence.
Yes.
There's a phrase that I've used forever. I don't even know when I came up with it, or maybe I stole it. I have no idea, but there is no change without a consequence. That means you do not change human behavior without a positive or negative consequence from it. Otherwise they just will do the same, right? So it doesn't always have to be negative, but sometimes it's positive. But there is no change without that. Yeah. And that's what we saw. You get that change over time. You do, because somebody had a consequence.
Yep, exactly.
Somebody got a hero bar, or somebody got days off. But and technology is one of those fields where that applies. Just like force, just like pursuits, all kinds of things where you've got guardrails in there, but somebody's going to have to be that trailblazer to form that new policy in a department that gets made.
And you and I kind of talked about it offline just before we got started, but I like the ability to hold cops accountable, because I think in police work, one of the things that we have a hard time doing is policing our own. And it's not that I think cops are out there doing nefarious things. I don't know. I think 99% of them are out there doing the right thing all the time. It's just, let's just say, like in the detective's office, for instance, there becomes a culture in an agency that is inundated with cases. You don't have enough detectives, so they can't investigate properly. And you have no way to prove this. And now with the way that technology is, company that you're currently with, one of the checks and balances that they're able to do is show leads. I'm gonna cut you off already. So showing leads, things like that, showing things that we miss through human error.
Yeah, case management,
things like that. So it's not that it's not that I'm going out there and I'm like, we need to hold these detectives because they're intentionally doing. No, I don't think they're intentionally doing it. I think when you've been at a place for so long and this is how you were taught and that's how the people before you did it, that's all you know. Well, technology is going to change that. And change with cops is never welcomed. Cops do not like change for the most part. So with this advancement in technology, it's one of the ways I want to help push police accountability in a way to help train us into a new way of thinking, not burn us. Because
it's not all Big Brother on Big Brother. Really.
Right.
It isn't. Just like in my company's, in Peregrine's case management areas, it used to be you had folders. Everybody still does have folders, right?
Yeah.
That we're going to change that. But the folders are sitting on these desks in 3 different stacks. Stuff that's you've got suspended, nothing on it. Stuff that's closed and stuff that's open.
Right.
You've got stuff, and that's how it's been forever,
mm-hmm.
right? In case management now, with our stuff, you can see your own stuff and where you've got it going and what's missing. But whoever's having to kind of run the unit can now quickly see, okay, we don't have these things, and have a conversation real quick. Whereas a lot of times you didn't find that out unless you dug deeply into the case, or it wasn't even obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Or you find out really late that stuff was missed, know, because the DA is going to find it or a defense attorney is.
Right.
So the more systems you build in that help earlier in the process and keep things moving, because when your suspended cases become more open cases, you're going to need that management to help that move efficiently. And I remember as things like patrol division, shift report every day. That was just a kick in the shins. That was an hour out of the patrol sergeant's time at the end of every shift, and it was terrible. And it didn't have a ton of value.
Yeah.
Our stuff, that's automated.
Yeah.
And we just build it however they want that shift report to look and what they want in it, and it's done. And it gets sent to all the right people at the same time, every day, without fail. With officers, it's the things that we can automate and the things that we can improve quality on without being a hammer. It's not that way. We have technologies right now that are improving like drones are super efficient at some things and can help outcomes. You have LPR technologies, video sensor technologies, essentially, that do a lot of the lift for us. I mean, how many of us rolled through a parking lot in that hotel, that we know every doper in town is going to be there this weekend or whatnot, and we're just running plates manually, just hoping we've come up with something we know. We do. Yep. Not that somebody else knows, but just us. Go forward to now the LPR cameras are rolling through and hitting things left and right, but now you look at your screen, and instead of looking at one, I'll use the term silo of information, now you look at how that piece of data, that link, that hit plays across all of your systems and maybe even your regional systems across a metroplex area like we have. And now you see this much bigger picture relatively instantaneously. Mm-hmm. That compared to 2000, or even later, of keying on a keyboard, hoping you're finding gold, the number of stolen cars that get recovered now, tremendous difference.
Okay. So you're bringing up a good point that I want to address, and I want you to kind of tell me what you think about this. With the advent of technology and how advanced it's getting, you remember back when you was a detective and going through a case, you had your phone calls that you had to make So you had to follow up on your leads. For those listening, this is kind of the way a case management will go. You get your case, you read over it. You're like, all right, here's witness 1, 2, if there is any. Here's my victim, and maybe or maybe not any potential suspects. And then you kind of look and you're like, any businesses or anything else that I could follow up on around the area. So first you call your victim. Okay, just kind of tell me what happened again. Okay, cool. Do you guys have any video of it by chance? Because back in the day, that was going to be a no.
Or it was going to be on some weird codec in
yeah,
a box on a shelf
right.
somewhere that nobody knew how to get it out of.
Yeah. So then do you have any idea who it may have been? No. Okay. Do you know where your stuff may have been taken? Do you think it was pawned or anything? Is there any identifiers? So you got any pictures of it? So maybe we can go find your stuff. No. Okay. Well, shit. All right. Let me see if there's any witness. Okay, call the witness. What did you see? I saw it looked like a guy wearing all black. How tall was he? Between 5'2" and 6 foot tall. And you're like, okay, how much did he weigh? Between 125 and 225 pounds.
95% of the population.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, shit. All right. I got no witness. I've got the victim doesn't know anything. There's no cameras because back in the day, nobody had cameras. We didn't have Ring and all that stuff back in the day. So your leads were pretty simple. Now fast forward to today. Everybody has a Ring camera or something like it. Every business has multiple cameras around it. Witnesses have multiple videos and stuff like that. You've got a really good chance of finding a plate in the neighborhood because LPRs are all over the place. So you just look at the time frame. Oh, it happened around 1:30 and 1:40 a.m. So you go back to the LPRs and see what's scanned in the area. Now you're getting leads on everything.
Yeah.
So if you're getting 10 cases in a day and you've got 400 leads because everybody's got something, how are you ever going to get through a case?
Because now you have more data than you've ever had before.
Right.
You've got the best of a disaster that you could ever have.
You have a huge problem. It's a good problem to have.
Best problem to have.
But it's not a good problem to have because one of the things in police work is you shall follow up on all leads. Like that's a general order.
Well, and you can get, and the reason why that happens is court cases.
Yeah.
And there's some hard and fast rules about discovery, and you're going to get caught up when you had stuff in your hands that you didn't act on, and it can be just literally human error.
Yep.
Right. But you're going to get caught up in that because it's somebody else's job, defense attorney, to find every single one of those. Luckily, a good DA is going to see that ahead of time.
Yeah.
But dealing with the amount of information is not necessarily an overload. It's just a very rich environment that you're dealing in a case folder now. And now your case folders are slowly transitioning to a case file that is digital. This is where I love being where I'm at now because I experienced all those things too. And I knew everybody else that did. And even before I left the police department, I mean, literally detectives are on the way to a scene and they're saying, I need this video off of our cameras, these things off our LPRs. I'm going to need a drone. I'm going to need for crime scene work, for overflights and stuff. They're calling all this tech in. Yeah. On the way to the call.
Right.
I had this one major crime sergeant. He and I talked, well, I wouldn't answer the phone sometimes, or I just hand it over because I knew, see his name, I would just put it on speaker. And Sarah would pick it up and she would talk to him. And so he would already tell me what he's already running through. And I would say, okay, I'm on my way. And then I would wrangle those things. The wrangling now of all those pieces now is doing what I do now.
Right.
And that's taking all of that massive amount of information and getting it down to usable stuff.
Yeah.
And getting it down to the stuff that floats to the top fastest. And so there you're going to find, okay, we're looking for this. Okay, we need a red car. We need a guy named Nick. Drives a red car. That's not a lot. Yes, it is.
Yep.
It is in my world.
Yep.
Okay. It is. In my world, that's a minute and a half of work to come up with something I'm starting to get traction on.
Yeah.
So now where you've got 150 cars that went by the LPR cameras around an apartment complex during the, because you're timing off of 911 calls or somebody calling in or something. There's usually some timestamp usually is out there for a lot of especially the worst crimes. And so you're working around that. You're gathering all that data. Now, how do we sift through this quickly and get to the best of that? Okay. That's part on the ground. None of what I do is ever going to take the place of a detective.
Right.
None of it. We just take a detective and make them heroes all the time.
That's right.
And some of it is, there was a quote by a customer of ours, and we've all heard the term, garbage in, garbage out in data and information and stuff. It's like, he said it, and this just was quoting this person, garbage in, gold out.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's the sifting process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get tons, not garbage, but it's just a volume, and then getting the gold out of it quickly.
Yeah. That's the old school way of policing. It's for those, the garbage term is if you don't know, your garbage is free reign once you put it out to the roadway. And police, for the longest time, if we got desperate, we would go through your garbage.
Oh, I did garbage runs.
Yeah, and we would find gold.
Yep.
But garbage in, gold out. So that makes sense.
So your mountain of data and how fast you can move through it, and that's the new kind of almost frontier in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Is we've got all these sensor systems, and they're just going to continue building in different ways, and there'll be flex in how those appear and what they can do over time. But if you look at kind of what's out there for gathering, see, that's the interesting part about, and it's the nice part being with Peregrine, is we don't actually gather the stuff.
We do.
Right.
The officers do.
The officers, the sensors, all those other companies and tools do all of that. We take all of it with a lighter footprint. Nobody ever screams about, us, because we're just taking and synthesizing that stuff into usable pieces of digestible data for people to look at and figure out, this is our guy, this is not our guy. So it's a nice spot to be in on where I'm at now, because this gets better and better and better, and it gets better fast. Like, we have a platform that's, I wouldn't say ever finished, right? But if I tell you this is what it can do 100% of that when I present it to you that day.
Yeah.
6 months and a year from now, it will do even more.
Yeah.
We just don't ever stop developing. And so I look at what we can do now for an agency and this mountain of data and garbage, if you want to call it, like the one chief did. We can get more gold, and we can get it faster.
Yes. And that's kind of one of the, we're not trying to pitch you guys, I promise you. I am always trying to pitch it because I want to improve law enforcement. And for me, this is one of the ways I've been talking about Peregrine for 5-6 years personally. And one of the reasons being is because that's the way I kind of coined it was turn your shittiest detective into Sherlock Holmes. Yeah. I mean, it's a way to do it. But my point being, I'm always trying to get the good tools out there for the public to know right away. I don't want you to be blindsided by it. I don't want you to be misinformed. I'm going to tell you how I see it as a cop, and if I think it oversteps or if it doesn't. Well, like ChatGPT, for instance. ChatGPT is kind of like an open source version of asking whatever information you want about all the information in the world. Well, if I were to flip that and use it as an analogy of kind of what Peregrine does and why I think all law enforcement agencies should have it, is now you've got your own internal ChatGPT in a way, and it doesn't take all the information in the world. It takes only the information you own.
Right.
So as a cop, if you're out there listening, any reports that we've written, any evidence that's been collected, any tickets that have been written, all of these things, car data, you know,
all the other stuff that comes into your system now.
Yes, all the stuff that we're intaking, rather than having to have a detective sift through it for weeks and months at end, if that's what they need to do, or crime analyst having to sift and go through and compare data and come up with, algorithms for, certain statistics they need to get. This takes all that, simplifies it, does it for you in the way that you want it to, and boom, there you go. It's your data. You know what I mean? So that's how I try to do that for people on the outside that are like, what the hell? He always talks about this shit. What is he talking about?
It is taking the abilities of the people that you have and giving them a tool that greatly enhances their capacity to do things, their speed, accuracy, all of it. And it's not like we're ChatGPT really in that sense. We're not using everything out there in the world. We're using the data that you're getting into your system.
Right.
And we don't add anything to it.
Right.
Whereas
just what
when
you
you go out with
possess.
ChatGPT stuff, you it's built that way. You're
Right.
constantly adding and refining. We don't add in a billion other things that we think might be relevant. No, it pulls from your data and you determine the relevancy. Like when our screens show one thing that we do, just a lift. And I wish a lot of systems just did this out of the gate, but they don't. So this is part of why we exist. Everybody, all the agencies, and mine had it too, and they still do. I asked them. There's a master name index that's got the same guy in there 30 different ways.
Oh,
Right?
that's
Okay.
yeah.
We've seen this so much.
Yeah.
We can go in there and merge all those.
John Smith, Smith. John Smith,
yeah.
Smyth.
Or
John Smith Jr.
Zerwinski.
Yeah.
That's been, if they're a problem child, they've been in there a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
And take names of drugs, charge titles, all of those things we can merge.
Yeah.
Okay. And we do it through a program called Match, and it's algorithms. And what we do is we basically give you one record for Bill Brzezinski or whatever. We give one record. There's probably a Bill Brzezinski.
Yeah, yeah.
Going, not me. But we take that one record and then we tell you, hey, this is where we got all this.
Yeah.
Whereas when you get stuff out of the interweb,
Yeah.
of a ChatGPT, it's hard to determine where that came from.
Yeah, you can't
and
verify or
and
vet.
I've even tried to validate things that did not validate off of ChatGPT.
Yep.
I try and use ChatGPT as a way for me to automate things, tasks, things like that. But I've asked it things, and I'm like, because I have certain special knowledge of certain topics in life, I know that can't be right.
Right.
And when I dig into it, I find out, oh, the sourcing on that's terrible.
Yeah.
So if the sourcing is at the agency level and only there, okay, you know your own data. We clean things up.
Yeah.
We do not add. We do not strip stuff out and delete or anything. We just use models that tell us how to put records together that make it even more efficiency. So when you do have Bill Brzezinski, you're getting all of them at one shot. You can just say, oh, I'd like to see all that. Oh, I also see that all these other agencies around me that have our platform, they've had him too. So now all of a sudden there's this bigger window into, oh, okay, there he is there. And you get to validate that too. And you can see their files that show who that is too. So things like that, these cleanups actually are really important.
Yep.
Because there are times when you get focused on the wrong person, or you can't get out of what I call a data trap, where you've got all this garbage you're having to deal with and you're never going to find your way out of it.
Yeah. Like trying to look through cell phone warrants and you just going through a page after page after page of stuff that makes zero sense.
You bring up a cool thing that I hadn't seen until I got to the company, but before running an Intel Center, you had people that did that analysis and you had tools. The tools didn't relate to your data that you had in your home agency, though. It just related to the data itself. It could put it on a map.
Oh, yeah.
But it didn't tell you how it relates to the millions and tens of millions of pieces of stuff you have in there.
Yes.
So when it all of a sudden relates to an address, and now you see all the records for the address and all the people there, and then all of a sudden you're able to move through this.
Yeah.
You see, it's kind of like if you go out and you do some blue water fishing. Okay. And if they've got a scope they can put down, usually they can run one down about 25, 30 feet down.
Yeah.
Still, a bright sunny day, it's still got enough visibility in there. There's an entirely different world there. It's the one that's scary because you jump off the back of a boat to cool down and you're in it, right? You don't even realize what you're in, right? But it's when agencies start to see what's really under the surface. And it's tremendous volumes, but it's kind of tough to make that work, right? That's what I love doing.
Yeah.
Is making all that you just saw and you're really excited about it. Now, what do we do with it?
Yeah.
This is the dog chasing the fire truck kind of thing. I've got it. I don't know what to do with it. That's what it was before good analytics got involved with data. And when you can take that and then add in sharing. Yeah. And the ability to communicate more effectively within your agency and outside. Within your agency, the larger the agency is, the more complex that gets. I was stunned at how much deconfliction actually works at the agency level, not outside the agency. Right. It does work outside, but there's a tremendous amount of deconfliction that needs to happen within an agency the larger it gets.
Yes. Can you kind of go into, because people will be like, what's he deconflicting? What's that mean?
It's a way of determining. It's like if you have suspect A and you're looking at them in a database, but nobody else knows you're looking at them. They're looking at them for a string of robberies. You've got him on an actual homicide. You're only looking at your guy in your context. Okay. This is like somebody saying, I'd like for you to paint a picture, but I'm only going to give you enough of it to complete a quarter of it. Please figure the rest out on your own.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible, right? So you have a homicide suspect over here. It's the same as theirs, but they never knew. These two never talk. And we can all go through stories about how this doesn't ever work.
Yeah.
Now, if you can see, hey, if this person is contacted in any form by our agency or another, like in this case, a parent agency. I'm not trying to be too pitch heavy here. There's not a lot of examples out there in the world like us.
Right.
You reach over, then you find out that your next door neighbor agency over here actually just stopped that car.
Yeah.
And has that person, right? And it's happened live like this with us, where an agency has got someone stopped, the detective gets an alert, they're able to contact over there and say, hey, I actually know who's driving, I know the registered, but I need the names of the people in that car really badly, but I need you to play it really cool. That's what we call that walled off stop thing. You know, that was never possible.
No.
Never. Never. So you can see when things are touched or, you know, something goes live, and you can know as a detective now things you never, ever could have known. I mean, it'll come out later when the case, for some reason, goes terribly bad in some ways, that the patrol division contacted a guy 6 times while your detective was working up a case.
Yeah.
Right? It'll only come out later.
Yep.
Now it comes out live.
Yes.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
That's just one thin, tiny little example of what you can do with good analytics.
And part of the deconfliction is also safety.
Absolutely.
Officer safety is a big thing. If I'm set up on a house and I didn't deconflict, and all of a sudden I see my subject that I'm looking for, and it's for BMV of a vehicle. Meanwhile, you're out there, just like you were talking about, you're watching them for homicide, and you've got SWAT coming in. And I have no clue. Without the deconfliction, there's a chance that we could have, you know, cop on cop issues going on, or our UC vehicles are in the area and they get taken down by other like these things happen.
I've been in that car before.
Yes. So all of a sudden you got a bunch of guns pointing at you, and you're the cop and you're not liking that so much, and you're
burnt.
Yeah, and you're burnt
in front of the house.
Yep, exactly. So these are things that we need to do. We need to pay attention to. Deconfliction's a big deal. And yes, we do sound a little pitch heavy, but the whole point of the podcast is to improve policing. So this is one of the reasons why I preach this stuff, just like I do jiu-jitsu so much, is I think it's a fast fix. That in a world where everybody wants instant fixes, this is one I can offer you. This is one I can tell you from my own personal experience will give you an overnight change.
If in the agencies that we deploy in, and now there's more there because now we're national.
Yeah,
this was a company that was very focused on the West Coast for a while, and which was a good thing. When you try and scale everywhere too fast, you can't control the quality of that. But now that we're all over the place, we get a lot more feedback all the time, like every day. It's great, and you hear where people say, like there was an agency that didn't even have all their data fully processed in with us and moving through their system. They just had some of it.
Yeah.
And they had spent 2 days trying to figure something out that they needed quickly. Well, the data went live. They said, great, we're on. They get them a few logins. They're done in minutes.
That's awesome.
Right? They now have that piece of information they were just killing for, right? They were just really needing it. And the results happen fast.
Yeah.
And it reinforces, because you have something that you have to account for in all agencies, and that's buy-in. And that's buy-in from all kinds of levels. So your buy-in from patrol, buy-in from investigations, buy-in from dispatch, buy-in from administration. Buy-in is really how they're using it and getting good outcomes and how they value it from that, right? So you want to build things that you have that great outcome, high value, and you have it fast.
Yeah.
If you can have all of those things, you've got a very, very powerful tool. So I remember the one thing I looked at when I used to buy stuff for for an intel. And believe me, vendors hit you up night and day.
Yeah.
When you looked at what they could offer, what you did, you tried to put the highest priority on the things that touched the most areas. Right.
Right.
So if
Get
you're
the
buying,
most bang for your buck.
So if you're buying drones, oh, I can show you all the different things that has payoff in.
Yeah.
LPR, same things. Video, same thing. But when you have a tool that says we can touch everything,
Yeah.
every single thing, and for every single section of your department, you figure out who you want in, what their abilities to move through the system are, what they can see, what they can do and not do. But the entire universe is yours now.
Yeah.
Everything that comes in, okay, and it touches everything from, I mean, you could have this working for code enforcement, animal control, the police department, the fire department, emergency management, your
DA.
dispatch center. The DAs are getting on this.
That's
now.
a big one. The DA is a big one.
Yeah.
So I kind of give you guys my big push for the district attorneys getting behind technology that integrates all of the internal data. And the reason I'm so big in that is currently what we're going back to the problem that I talked about before. It's too many leads where a detective can't keep up. They can't physically, they don't have the time in the day to follow up on all the cases that they already have and follow up on all the leads that they're getting on these cases. Now, what they'll typically do is they'll create this hierarchy. They'll say, okay, this is a very important case because the victim level is much higher than, this person over here whose car got broken into and they got their iPhone cable stolen. So now they've got this priority. Okay, this person over here is a victim of an ag assault. So they're going through all the leads that they can find. Well, it just so happens that 15 cops showed up to that call. Now that's 15 body cameras that they got to track down, and that's 15 more dash cameras that they have to get. Okay, sounds awesome, right? Like I said, too many leads can be a problem because now we have 30 leads. The detective's got to download all of those, upload it to the case. On top of that, he's got to know who was out on the scene. How is he going to possibly do that if an officer didn't list themselves as being out there? Officers are dumb sometimes. We're not dumb. We try to do the minimum with having the most fun. So don't we?
That was Eric's statement, not mine.
Yeah, we
I always just tried to get the most done.
Yeah. We try to do the minimum and the most fun. That's just kind of the way it is. And you'll get officers, they'll hear this high priority call and they want to help the victim out. They want to get out. They want to be the guy that saves the day. So they all get out there and they realize, oh, I don't have a job. And I don't want to get stuck doing a job that I don't want to do, like tagging evidence or
standing at a
crime scene tape and not letting people through. So what will they do? They'll be like, all right, nobody saw him, I'm leaving. Meanwhile, what they don't realize is their body cam caught, maybe a glimpse of the suspect vehicle parked around the corner or something. And that video doesn't get tagged and uploaded because that officer thought that he had nothing to do with it. And so now the case can be thrown out by a good defense attorney who finds out that those officers were in the area of the call and didn't disclose that evidence.
Or they find out that there was possibly exculpatory evidence, or all they have to do is introduce the fact that there could have been.
Right. Yes. That there could.
What DA wants to go into trial and find out that happened in the middle of it.
Right.
Because sometimes it's not necessarily what you did or didn't do. It's how someone else can portray that.
Yes. And so now you guys are starting to see the whole picture is the DA is going to have no choice but to dismiss the case because it's going to look like he was trying to hide evidence. And then if he doesn't disclose that evidence and it's found out later, there is a possibility he could be disbarred. Now, it's not more than likely it won't be if they can prove that it wasn't intentional, but
it's career limited.
But it's yes. And so you don't want to have to go through all that. It's not worth it. So that's why I'm so preach heavy on this particular item we're talking about here.
This area of technology grabs everything that's going on and you see it. And what's cool is when you see it like in one screen. Like it's not all there. You're going to it's truncated pieces of it. So I've got all these things and I'm going to open that up and look.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know every single officer that was there because their body-worn cameras also say that they were there.
Yes.
And now imagine you have 10 officers or more. It's a big scene, right? Let's say 20.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon. You could get 20 cops in a scene.
And Air One,
Yeah,
and,
oh, yeah.
and 2 drones.
And you have all this audio going on body-worn cameras. Imagine an officer talking with somebody, they don't know the whole story that's going on over there. They're at the edge of the scenes, and they're talking with somebody, and they're standing next to people that are talking about what happened.
Yeah.
They're not even actually interviewing them, but it's all being recorded.
Yep.
Let's say Detective A finds out they're looking for Nick. I use Nick a lot. I don't know Nick, but they're looking for Nick. Well, in a system like ours, not to brag, but if it's in a transcript and you say looking for Nick, every single word that is Nick,
right, it scrubs it,
is going to come out of there.
Yeah.
And now you're going to find out the officer that was technically not even in the scene, just standing amongst the crowd, kind of visiting the event, actually got somebody talking about Nick. No, he went to his sister's. And so someone will get him out of there. You hear that, that is the gold.
Yeah.
Out of mountains.
Absolutely.
Right? So when that detective goes back later, they're going to have that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be immediate, but they will have it because when they plug in, look for Nick, this address, everything that's related to a Nick, this address, and we know it's a red car, and this time frame for all cameras, for all other things, all body-worn cameras. All of a sudden, you've got a conversation going on between some people you don't even have identified, but the body-worn camera gets them, and now we have more, right?
Yep.
It wasn't even at the scene. It's somewhere else. This is the kind of scenario that can play out completely legitimately.
Right. And I think that's this is where I get into the accountability side. Like, everybody wants to hold police accountable. Everybody wants their DAs to do better. Well, help them work together. Help them put a rock solid, case together. And that's what this will do. So again, I try to tell people, you want overnight fixes because that's what everybody wants, is these overnight fixes. Well, you got one right in front of you.
Speed to outcome here is different.
Yeah.
This is a very different time for agencies when they climb onto platforms like ours.
Yeah.
Speed to outcome is very different.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm very passionate about it because I see where this goes.
Yes.
I've seen technology. I understand how it moves through agencies and public safety at large. This ability is just beginning.
Yeah.
The next 5 years are going to be just damn impressive.
Yeah.
Just at what you're going to be able to get done, the outcomes you're going to be able to get with the accuracy and speed. If it takes you 10 years to get to an outcome, that's not so hot. If it takes you 10 minutes, that's hot. Yeah. If you get the right outcome accurately, it's even hotter. So in a world full of ChatGPT, this is that side of technology to be on. Not quite over there. That's great for figuring out how to paint your house better. Okay, there's many things, but I mean, you can dig there a lot of ways and get good stuff.
Yep.
But when you're able to mine your own data very quickly and very accurately, your outcome, your possibilities are much better.
Yeah, it's
like, really probabilities, not possibilities.
Like, I'm excited because just that technology in itself, and I'll kind of flip it on a different angle, is medical. Think about prognosis and diagnosis and all that stuff about just taking symptoms that doctors, because some doctors were C+ students, some were A+ students, and you got the same with detectives and police, so you've got this technology out there that can take all of these different symptomatic things that most people, I don't think, can really keep in their head without, doing research and doing all the things. And now you're finding cures and fixes for things so much quicker.
Because they'll build very custom-made products using AI that is built off of data sets. Like, we use large language models, for a lot of the background of this stuff. And it's how we train the system to do things and how it learns.
Yeah.
Okay? And the one thing we don't do, we don't generate. We're not generative.
Right.
Right? We're just using what exists.
Yes.
Inside of this kind of universe, not the entire universe, this one. And this is the safety net. And then inside of that, you still have many more safety nets to go through. You can say, I want to validate that. All of your sourcing should be instantly available too. And some people take issue with this. So
Okay, now I'm interested.
Oh, now you're all excited.
No, all right.
But when it comes to, there's this hot button phrase that comes up all the time: a single pane of glass.
Oh God,
Okay, I don't know. I'm kind of done with it.
I hate it.
Single pane of glass actually has a home, but it's a visualization of what's going on at a particular time, place, and things like that. And it may be a window through things. Okay, it may be that. It may be an aggregation point to do things, but it is not a lens through which you see everything you have behind.
Yes.
There's two things. Oh, and there's always, sensors are great, cameras are great, LPR is great. I love all that stuff. I love drones too. The cool part is getting all of that to work for you better, not just work. Okay? Because right now we're still in the, no, I wouldn't say infancy. We're in a little bit headed towards adolescence of using these technologies more effectively. It's really cool to have a 20-foot wide, laser projection system in your RTCC, and it shows every camera in the city and every traffic stop, every school, and all that stuff. It's a little bit much, but it also requires headcount.
Yeah.
Does everybody have the headcount 24 hours a day? No. So we know big trend is focusing your hours of headcount, in 10 or 12 or 14-hour days and stuff like that. Just trying to figure out how to use the humans you have to the technology.
Yeah.
How much you use the technology to the humans you have.
Okay.
All right. Make all of that available to everybody else all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, and people, and I'll tell you this, when Peregrine was younger, it's been around for about 8 years now. It's not a brand new startup company. It's just more national now. So it's new to people. But in its younger version, I remember telling someone it looks kind of like an analyst tool, not a department or an agency tool. Well, now that's different. The UIs are different. The user interface is very different.
Right.
And how you move through the system is different. What it collects is different. The ability to type in things and have it produce results for you or do it automatically.
Yeah.
All these things have come out of this over time. But the thing that it doesn't need someone 24 hours a day constantly looking at that to get it right. Okay.
Yeah.
This is where the thing that should be the underpinning of any real-time crime center is this type of platform. I would love it to be ours, but have one.
Yeah.
Because all the sensors in the world are great, but you're going to have to plow through that mountain.
Yeah.
Right? Get something to plow through that for you. That's really, when I tell people, I go, I didn't understand until I got to Peregrine the depth of the talent pool.
Yeah.
And the number of Ivy League experience, not just Ivy League grads, but the backgrounds of these people are incredibly impressive. What they've done and what they're before they got to us and what they're doing now is also impressive. It's not just they got a degree from here and there. These are extremely sharp people that build brilliant systems. You can't build a box of software that you get it one way and you have a pull down menu and a checkbox, and you can't have that your way. I won't use the chain name of the fast food restaurant, but there was an advertising kind of campaign a long time ago that said you could have it your way.
Yeah.
It's that way with us.
Yeah.
I hope that other technologies do it the same way.
Yeah.
Have it your way, and I hope that more of this is what happens for public safety, emergency management, fire service, and you name it, all over the place. We need even the private sector being able to relate in ways that make sense to everybody over to law enforcement without it becoming confusing on how that's happening.
That's why I nerd out about this stuff, because I am constantly trying to improve law enforcement. I'm always looking for the next latest and greatest. I want to get my hands on it. I want to try it. The new taser comes out. I want to play with that. If there's a new body cam that comes out that does live translation, I want to mess with it. Like, I want to mess with all this stuff, and I want to see it for myself, because we've seen things. I've seen LPRs that have come out, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then you get some hands-on experience with it, and you're like, this is garbage. This is not what they said it was going to be. And, you know, we go out to IACP. I remember when
wandering the booths.
Yeah, I remember a guy was bragging about their LPRs in their 60% accuracy rate. 60%. I was like,
that's a hard sell.
I was like, but it was such a new space that nobody knew what a good pitch was at the time. And I just remember looking back and laughing. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, you're bragging.
60 was good.
Yeah. Like that's terrible. Like, I'm like, I don't like that. And there was stuff out there at the time that was, you know, near 90-95% accuracy when they first started coming out. And it's only gotten better and better. And that is why I think we're having this conversation that we're having, is because of our excitement of how we can improve law enforcement, and it's a need to serve, even when you're time. Like, it never goes away. I don't think it does.
It hasn't gone away from me at all.
My dad's been retired now since 2018. You've been retired, and he still serves in a different way. Now he works for a DA or for a defense attorney. He works for the enemy. No,
here's the thing. I'll say that. And just one word about defense attorneys. We talk a lot of trash about them.
I know, but we love them.
Can you imagine a world without them?
No.
The balance has to be there.
Everybody's entitled to a proper defense, and I 100% believe that. And if they didn't have that, the system would take advantage of everybody that's out there.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm with them.
Yeah. I don't see ever again, and I made this comment 10 years ago. I don't see police departments doubling in size over time. Though that is done.
Right.
Okay.
That's where force multipliers come in.
Yes.
So with that, let's change gears a little bit.
Now you're trapping me somewhere.
No. I just want. So you've got a different lens now. You had a lens of what you thought police work was going to be, and then you went into it and you lived it. And you lived it for 30 years, close to
almost.
Yeah, close to 30 years.
Most of my adult years, no matter how juvenile I acted.
Well, I haven't. My sense of humor hasn't matured since about 14.
Yeah, mine too.
So farts are still funny. Watching somebody else get hit in the nuts is still funny.
Yep.
Burps are funny. I love it all. So that hasn't really
I'm painfully
changed.
aware you enjoy all that humor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that, you've been out of the game, but you've been around the space.
Yeah.
So how are you looking at policing now as far as training, as far as recruitment? What are you excited for? So this would be a 3-parter. What are you excited for? What are you fearful of? And where do you see the future going?
What I'm fearful of.
Okay, we'll go fearful first.
And it's not so much of a fear's concern, because cops never talk about fear. So but I am concerned that we're moving every month, year, decade, whatever it is, we're moving closer and closer to the possibility of a bifurcated system where you have more, and we've seen this movement in the last 5 years much more poignantly or much more demonstrably. The private policing, basically, which is a bigger push towards agencies that didn't exist before. It's kind of that concept. Okay, there are hospital district police departments. Okay, I get it. They are kind of their own little world and stuff, and they're very specialized. I get it. But there's a push now for housing additions, huge housing additions, to have their own police departments, really. And most of them are actually made up now of agencies working overtime in there.
Yeah.
Okay, which I get it. There's a economic model to this, but there's a lot of other things that are lost in this too. But I'm concerned that I see where the people that need us the most are the people that have the least.
Yeah.
When you have the system moving towards those that can afford private policing inside of a HOA where the entry-level home price is $850,000 or $1 million, and they have an actual legitimate licensed, state licensed police department that has those powers, how they're doing it now or how they do it sometime in the future, right? The ability to pay for those services
Yeah.
is, I won't say unlimited, but it has no definable like limit. Whereas taxpayer dollars can only afford so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I do worry that over time we are going to be split up between a publicly funded law enforcement system and a privately funded one. And I don't like to see that. I don't think that's healthy for the world in general.
I agree.
I think we should be pushing towards the communities being able to provide law enforcement, public safety, emergency, all of these things from within.
Mhm.
Help, I get it, grants and all kinds of good stuff and support, but the reliance upon the professional model of policing is going to require that it happen in that context, not in a bifurcated system where you have the haves and have-nots. Literally, I do worry about that. I understand everybody wants to feel safe, but when we get to the point where we're licensing, state authority, to private endeavors, boy, that becomes there's
the potential
trouble.
for corruption in that is just too high. It's already police have so much power. I mean, it's one of the things I always would try to remind rookies or recruits, especially recruits, like having a badge and a gun is an ultimate power that needs to be respected at all times. Like you got to constantly remind yourself that you have the authority to take someone's freedom away and take basically them away from the life that they know. And that is, nobody else has that. And now imagine privatizing that. And then you're starting, if you privatize that, the level of potential corruption in privatizing.
How do you structure oversight that's effective that way? How do you structure, standards that are really enforceable and visible? But I do worry that we kind of move that way because there's been efforts introduced in the last 2 or 3 years to try and do more of this. I understand people's desire to feel safe and have their home and neighborhood secure and their schools. I get it. Okay. But I do worry that it's an imbalance.
Yes, I agree. I think
this is not about keeping cops, and saving jobs and stuff. That's not what this is about. This is about a much larger, bigger picture thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that we've seen examples of I've seen some shorts and some reels and stuff on Instagram, for instance, where you see an officer working an off-duty gig for an HOA. And I hear what he's enforcing. He's not enforcing a law.
All right.
He's enforcing house rules.
The pool rules.
Yeah. And I'm like, bro, you can't do that. And I don't think he's intentionally getting like corrupted that way. But basically what's happening, if you're out there listening, you don't quite understand it. The officer's job is to enforce the law, not your house rules. He can ask, he can suggest, but other than that, he's also just him being there in his uniform is a presence in itself, a form of intimidation and using the color of law.
Well, and if you want to play the game of breach of peace, hard enough, guess what? That won't be available anymore. It will go away.
Yep.
That's something you reserve for when you have to do it, not when you elect to do it for all kinds of purposes.
Right. And now
3 kids inside the pool at an HOA.
Yeah.
While it technically may be a breach of peace in some way or a trespass, how should you really take care of that?
Yeah. And
do you need a law enforcement officer sworn and trained by the state to do that?
Yeah. And then you run into they're giving me this extra money and I got Christmas presents are coming up right around the corner and I want to keep this job. And that becomes an issue. Yep. And I would run into that. I work in bars. I wasn't a guy that worked bars a lot, but every once in a while you're helping out a buddy because he couldn't make it and you owed him a favor, or this was my case anyway. And or you there's a birthday coming up and you're like, okay, I need to work a gig. Let me ask a friend if I can work his bar gig for him. So you go to work these bar gigs and they're asking you to enforce these house rules. And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, he always would. And I'm like, well, he's not supposed to. Yeah, and he's not here. So it happens. It happens. The privatization part. And and then let's flip the script a little bit. What is the benefit to having that? Well, now you've got enforcement. You've got a cop that's in a place that regular dispatched patrol isn't. So you've got an extra body out there helping the city. It doesn't cost the taxpayers anything because they're there and
I get it.
they
Yeah.
can hopefully squash a call. So I see both sides
There
of the
is,
house.
and this is why. And I remember at a previous company where I worked, they had LPRs at the entrances to HOA developments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the economies of scale here, it's tremendous. You're paying, I don't know, a few bucks a day for that little electric minion.
Yeah.
That's going to tell you this stolen car rolled in at 2:15 in the morning. It's
Yeah.
not there for poetry class. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
A minion. I like that.
So putting an off-duty cop there costs a tremendous amount every hour, and they're in one spot. They're paying attention or not, but they're in one spot. They don't know what goes on at every entrance. It's 6 entrances, right? So things could happen and people roll out and nobody know any different until the next day.
Yep.
Those cameras
Unblinking.
are extremely efficient, especially when they do attach out to the police department, and then you can have a law enforcement convention inside an HOA, and solve some problems. So I'm okay with the thing that, like, technology that brings law enforcement to it, but I'm not comfortable with the idea that we have little law enforcement universes all over the place that have interests that are motivated by all kinds of different things that should be in the mix. So.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. Yeah, that's a good point. I think
I think technology is actually a good leverage here.
How so?
If those communities are really interested in doing those things, use technology to bring law enforcement resources to you when you need it.
Yes.
Instead of, I mean, and I think there'll also be, I mean, the number of communities that can really afford this as an independent entity is pretty thin anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I worry more about the derivative of that. How we get discount services running around and doing stuff. There is a good position for technology and security services, technology and law enforcement, linking and stuff. There's a nexus that can be found here.
Yeah.
That's the right balance. I'd prefer not to see more of the special district ideas.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. All right.
Okay, that's
fear.
fears.
Okay, so we've got what are you excited for and what's the future?
Oh, excited.
Yeah, what are you seeing today in policing where you're just like, this is...
I see this kind of almost a tipping point that we're at where law enforcement finally gets it. They're not showing up. They're not coming. Okay.
Yeah.
There's only so many we're going to be able to pull into this career right now. Maybe it'll change. I can't see that horizon line where that change is predictable at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that is also a concern really, but I see them coming to those realizations. I mean, you see agencies jacking up those starting salaries, just trying to get people in the door.
Yeah.
And not everybody, I mean, I started at $11.22 an hour.
Damn.
Okay. You've got to really be dedicated to wanting to do this.
Right.
It's not a job, man. You've got to really want a career in this because you've got to really want to do this for a lot of the, hard, deep reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Starting at 90 to 100,000 a year. And I'm talking here in Texas. I'm not talking about in California. There's some wild stuff that goes on there, but for money, but here, we've got to get them in the door because we have to be able to be responsive with a head count. I see a point coming where technology is going to really be able to effectively and ethically be able to tilt this balance.
Yeah.
And get it into the right workable norm. We aren't there yet. We're trying to find our way, I think, in what is the head count now. Well, technology is moving so fast, we're not exactly sure where to be. So a chief has got to hedge his bets on, I need humans for right now. I'm not totally bought in over here, but I think you'll see this almost iteration where you're going to see head counts are going to be allowed to go to some point where they're comfortable because the technology is so solid and so pervasive and safe.
Yeah.
That they're able to depend on these things. And these things could be 10 things long, right?
Yeah.
But that's exciting.
Yeah.
That we're getting closer to that point where we're going to find this new kind of stasis where this is the head count we need for this community. And I think that's also a very individualized thing. I do not believe in these one model fits all type of things. I've been part of the workings of figuring that out before, and it matters what you do for your community, what's important to the community, what's important for the police department, who's doing what in the police agency. All those go into the mix of how many people you need.
Yeah.
And I think that response to crimes will be different, and I think it will be more professional. And I don't mean that it's not professional now. I think when I say that, I mean there's going to be a element of it that is refined and very effective and very professional and transparent to everybody and how good it is. That's going to increase.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the headcount that you're going to get is going to be held to a higher standard because there's more technology driving them to better outcomes. So what they're doing will change too. I think the response to crimes is going to change in how that really looks inside the police department and outside.
Yeah.
So DFR is a good example of how that can work. We're really early in DFR, and I think people don't really feel that yet. But I promise you, we're early in it. 5 years can be a huge difference.
I think you're going to see drones in the air all the time.
Yeah. You're going to see a pervasive, and I called this out years ago, that you're just going to see it, and it's going to be very normal to hear that little whir and buzz occasionally.
Yep.
And sometimes it's going to be delivering stuff, which I still don't fully get, but
I'm all right with it.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
But,
as long as you can get me my little trinkets faster from Amazon, hey, I'm all for it.
Things we waited for 2 weeks, we got to have in 2 hours now.
Yes, you get mad when it takes 24
yesterday.
hours.
I ordered a belt, and it was ridiculous. It was not a belt I needed. It's absolutely ridiculous. I ordered it. They said they shipped it. FedEx says it's on the way. It's going to arrive today.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure, I have a ton of surveillance cameras around my house. But,
figures.
So
yeah.
I'm alerted when FedEx rolls up.
Okay.
And the guy goes in the back of the truck, goes back in the driver's seat and drives away. He didn't have my thing. I was enraged because it took more than 2 days to get something that actually wasn't in stock to my door, and it's going to take a day longer. And it arrived today.
From another country.
Oh, no. It wasn't, but it's still just what we expect now as far as immediacy. Yeah.
Yep.
So and DFR delivers a degree of immediacy that it's almost kind of like we can see the potential in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing stuff. It is doing good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as outcomes and the pervasiveness of its abilities, its impact, I like where I'm at. Not just in Peregrine. I love the company.
Yeah.
The technology in this area and what we can do with what the data we have and the more data that we're going to get and being able to synthesize these things and move quickly to what are impactful outcomes. This is really important.
Yeah.
And these are the things that I'm excited about.
Yeah.
The next 5 years is going to be just, Eric, I'm going to be very, very busy.
Yeah.
I am. When I got out of law enforcement and I went to the first company that I went with, I was in consulting.
Mm-hmm.
Really what I was a translator between tech
and police,
those guys, and law enforcement.
Yeah, trying to teach the dummies.
Well, it's not even dummies. It's
how this crayon works.
They had never been introduced to this kind of stuff. And so then the technology platforms became more and more platforms that we're talking about. And so, but it was interpretation and conversations.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually in a sales position. I don't know if I told you that I'm actually doing sales where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah, which was a shift. I never would have considered it before. The company's objectively, it's very unique, very special. I never, ever was going to go into sales.
Yeah.
I love this driver's seat. I am closer to the law enforcement people than I was even in consulting. I'm more intertwined with their department and their people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more intertwined into their outcomes. It's not me. It's not my company that's ultimately getting the outcome. It's a woven thing together.
Yeah.
People use the name partnership all the time. Oh, okay. I see it kind of how you weave technology and the right partners and companies in. Yeah. That's your tapestry you're in, right?
Right.
So how you weave that together and how you don't
Yeah.
is really important. And I like being that close
Mm-hmm.
to what I'm doing now
Yep.
in what we're doing. So,
Yeah. I have found personally in a lot of the things that I'm really into in law enforcement that help me. I don't look like it's an iPhone. I have zero relationship with Apple.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It's a commodity.
I could give a shit less.
You'll buy another one a year from now.
Yeah, and
Probably an iPhone.
But I'm married into it because of just how long I've had an iPhone since they come out.
Yeah.
Because it was the first of what it did. I'm a tech junkie anyway. I like that stuff, and it does what I need it to do. But there's no relationship there. Versus like kind of what you're referring to and what we're talking about with that life of service. These companies that I've gotten just ingrained with. First Two's another one. Niraj, the guy that
when you
runs
talk to him,
yeah,
you feel the energy from him and the passion he has for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I get behind the tech in my absolute drive to serve, like that's everybody's got their drives. Like, you know, some people are food driven, whatever. Like I am service driven. That's just how I'm wired. That's why I like to teach. That's why I like to do what I do on this, because I feel like I'm helping. I always want to help people in just as many different ways as I can. So then when I get into companies like we'll go with First Two, there's that dopamine drive or whatever you want to call it that I get behind because I'm not even at work and talking about them and I see what they do and I know it's helping. I know it's helping other people. So it goes to be like the same thing with where you're at in your career is you went from serving and then you've got that unknown area where you're like, is this going to, and now you're in sales in a spot that you probably never wanted to be or thought you would be until it hit that service, that drive for service.
And for me, I mean, okay. I mean, I'd been on the other side of the desk. I had been being pitched to all the time.
Yeah.
And so I know
you
what
I,
oh, another slide deck, just pull my eyes out of my head. Yeah. But the having a conversation or relationship with someone, even if it ultimately doesn't work out, it may 2 years from now.
Right.
And I remember the same poor sales rep, they called me from a company over and over and over again. And it was just, I was so busy. So finally I said, okay, you are absolutely going to get shot. I'm going to ask somebody else to work with you on this. That's actually really going to be more of an end user of this in a property crimes unit.
Yeah.
Let me organize it there. And it still didn't work out. Okay. Relationship was still there. I ended up working with that person later.
Oh.
Yeah. Nice. They remembered it.
Yeah.
And they remembered that there was a relationship there that they managed to establish just over the phone calls, right? Yeah. Because they didn't pitch me. They were persistent in trying to just get some time with me.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it because it wasn't something that my unit really needed because I had that kind of rule. If it's just touching one thing, go talk to that unit or see if they got budget for it or something like that. I need to touch large areas. So the relationship thing is really important to me. And I still like hanging out with my blue family.
Yeah.
You know, as weird as they can be. And what's odd is also get away from the mic, sorry. I know you're doing this, trying to keep up with me moving around.
Oh, you're fine.
It's funny, the other thing that happens when you leave law enforcement, especially after a long time, you retire, you know.
Yeah.
The 6 months later, and I hope it's like this for everybody, 6 months later, it's a different lens that you look at what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a very interesting kind of point of reflection on what you did. How you look back at things changes. And you get a little more honest with yourself about what worked, what didn't, how you did. Not so much about how others did. We have all had people that just did not cross our paths well.
Yeah.
But the relationships that I had in law enforcement kind of get sustained in a way with what I'm doing now. And so it's not just sales, it's being part of it. And I'm here, right? Here's that, orbit. I'm a little outside of it. But when you can serve it, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't serve it well, shame on you.
Yeah.
But those are, you see that in different companies or different types of industries where they're commodities.
Yeah.
The phone. Who do you know at Apple?
Not a damn
Not
person.
a damn person. Right?
Yeah.
Who sold you that phone?
Not a clue.
Nobody. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's one of those things that you got to have a phone. That's it. It's a commodity. You're buying it. Whereas in law enforcement, I think the things that we do, be it drones, LPRs, video cameras, the things that I do with data, these are things that absolutely require a relationship.
Yeah.
Because we're sticky in a way. You don't go through the effort with us. When we show up, we bring people.
Yeah.
And we build things out in a very almost bespoke manner.
Yeah.
That you don't decide, yeah, it's great, but I'd really like to have a new fleet of patrol cars next year. So we're going to ditch that. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. Because we become highly valuable.
Right.
Well, shame on you if you don't stay with that agency and stay close with them.
Yeah.
They're counting on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've noticed too in these specific types of companies that do this type of thing, Axon, First Two, y'all, these companies that get so ingrained in a way that the police department's victories are your victories. Like you get so invested when you find out we caught this, pedophile that we wouldn't have caught without what you guys were doing. But it was y'all's teaching and coaching that helped us figure this software out or figure this piece of equipment out to get us to that point.
That's who we want to be. That's what every company should want to be.
It's not that, you become, I like to say you guys become the Chick-fil-A, and that's what I look for. I look for any piece of tech that I'm getting or any piece of gear that I'm getting for police work. I want that company to be the Chick-fil-A of what they're doing. You can see that case right over there that I got. I was looking to buy a Pelican case for my equipment for going to the conference. I wanted something that was going to protect what I had. And so I'm like, all right, let me get this Pelican case. I'm looking. It had these variations that I wasn't quite looking for, so I was trying to see if I could get specific. So I call. I was treated like a number. And I'm like, damn. So I started looking up. I looked up Pelican competitors. I typed that in. So I looked that up and found a company in Texas called Condition One. I was like, all right, let me see. Over half the cost, less, for the same type of case I was looking for. But the site was a little confusing for me at the time. I was trying to figure, the configuration. I was like, if I click this, is it mine? So I call them up, answer, treated me.
Got a
human, treated me like a Texan.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're based right out of Texas. They're like, hey, if you get it, try it out for a month. If you don't like it, send it back. No problems. I was like, holy okay, cool. End up getting the case. Love it. Send them a review, let them know. They ended up sending me a coupon for the next case that I get, like 25% off or something like that. Not a huge deal, but it's the effort that they took to get behind what I did. And it wasn't like a survey monkey. How do you like our product? It was somebody that actually reached out and said, how do you like our product so far? And I'm like, this is amazing. So that is one of the things that I think when you're in a company like a Peregrine or like a First Two or like an Axon, the quality assurance of getting behind what you're doing, and not just the product, but its results. What is it doing? Are my trophies your trophies? I want them to be.
Yeah, but I draw a distinction there because I've seen companies use a law enforcement agency's efforts as they
as
claim
their
it.
own.
I hate
Yes.
that.
Okay.
I
Okay.
rail against
fair,
that.
fair.
Yeah, I do rail against that.
Yes, that's not what I
They
meant.
need to claim only the victory of the agency, because if you're really good, everything else is perfectly clear.
Yes. And that's like, for me as a cop, I like to send those victories to the company. Hey, thank you guys. This is what you helped get done. I want the person that talks to me, you know, my representative that talks to me from the company, I want them to know what they helped do.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
And it's an interesting, you know, I watched this with a previous company and how the feedback loop kind of worked. And with Peregrine going from West Coast, and some others, but I mean, dramatically covering the U.S., you know, and heading across all states now, the inflow of what we call we have a program called Slack, and it has a channel in there.
Oh yeah. Slack, yeah.
And it has stuff in there about, you know, wins, and that's a lot of place where we get feedback.
Yeah,
and we make sure everybody in the company knows that, hey, you're doing this with them.
Yeah.
You know, if you sell the tires that go on the cars, I'm not sure that has that kind of mission feel to it, right?
Right.
Okay, I get it. But the amount of just, I guess, satisfaction, if you want to call it that in a broad term, to working in a company that supplies the tool, gives the training, and keeps giving them more.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying when they win with our stuff.
Yeah.
Because I can't win on the field anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
If you can't win on the field,
it's another way to serve.
The sideline is a good spot. You can still do things there. So the winning from, you know, jumping out of cars and getting, you know, hamstring pulls. I'm okay with, you know, letting some of that slide now.
Yeah.
You know?
At our age, I'm with you.
I mean, I've still got 2 torn shoulders that have not been repaired from my law enforcement.
Stem cells, brother. Stem cells. Yes.
Yeah, I've got cartilage torn in both shoulders.
My dad had 7 surgeries. He had, at a point in his career, I'll give you the short version of a long story, but he chases a stolen vehicle. They all bail out. He catches the slowest one. Slowest one happens to be like 6'7", 500 pounds. Yeah. And my dad is 5'7" and maybe 160 pounds at the time.
Better be feisty.
So he was a feisty guy. They end up fighting over his gun. But the guy finds a piece of cement that had broken off of a, like, you know, man-made creek type thing in a park.
Yeah.
And he just destroys him, hits my dad in the head, hits him in his shoulder several times to where it dislocated and fractured all the stuff in his shoulder. Goes through his career, shoulder problems, shoulder surgery after shoulder surgery after shoulder surgery. That's a hard thing to say. So he has all of those and nothing. All it did was limit his mobility. Didn't really help the pain. Gets the stem cells. I'm not going to say he got 100% recovery, but the pain's gone. Mobility function was way up.
Yeah.
And so now, ever since then, I'm like,
it's kind of like I'm at the point now where I wake up 3 or 4 times a night. It sucks. I got tingling in my fingers and stuff. It's just, it doesn't get any better. And it's just cartilage, so it doesn't fix itself.
Or the diabetes, one of the two.
That no. But but if you can't play on the field, it's a good thing to be able to support those that are.
Yeah. So. And I think it's important. Like, this is very rare. This does not happen a lot. I don't know why it's happened with me in my life. I have 4 AED saves.
Wow.
Yeah. What are the odds? 4. Yeah. 2 were cops.
Wow. That's even rarer.
Right. And it wasn't because they were shot or anything like that. It was heart episodes.
That'll happen.
Yeah. And having that, like, every time I had a save with an AED, I sent a letter to the company. I was like, hey.
Like the vests.
Yeah.
You know, when you get saves, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's nice to see, and it just picks up. The volume in that channel, that Slack channel, just keeps picking up.
The more popular y'all get,
nice,
more people.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, if you're selling it and you're in contact with them all the time, I think and especially for someone with my history, not everybody, like, we don't have, not all of our salespeople are for law enforcement.
Right.
Right. So what we get out of it is probably a little different, but not entirely, but maybe our level of satisfaction is a little different.
Yeah.
You know, or how we feel about it. But it's I don't know. You just can't. There's only so many places in the universe you can put yourself that you get to serve indirectly but closely. So, I mean, the people that are doing the background, I mean, these guys that code this stuff, that do all the background stuff, the people that work with, like, my agency that I retired from is about to have all this. And I just set up the meeting so that's our kickoff meeting where our deployment specialists come in and they become part of the family fully, because they're going to spend 3 months working with them, building the whole thing everywhere. Well, when they get wins, those guys know it.
Yeah.
You know, they go, I built that, you know, I made that, you know. So I don't think the people that are on the line building the Chevy Tahoe police package may get the same satisfaction as someone like that's using tools that are kind of frontline, like in a different way.
Yeah.
So
I get that. You know,
there's just a distance, I think. So.
Yeah, like Star Chase or the Grappler, or like
I love the Grappler videos. Those are fantastic.
I see those every time, and I kind of try to think of myself as, what if I was one of the guys that helped make that thing or got it out there? Like, I would be pumped. I'm like, help. It's
like the drone guys. You know, I'm a fan of Skydio.
Oh yeah.
Objectively,
that arm thing that they.
Oh man, I'm a fan of I'm a fan of Skydio.
Yeah. I just like drones.
I have been for a while. I love drones.
Yeah.
And I see the future with this. I'm a fan of theirs.
Yeah.
And I guess it's part of the reason why Peregrine is also, it's the same type of ethos. It's this, okay, we've got a drone. You don't stop there.
Right.
You're constantly innovating.
Yeah.
Constantly moving the needle further out.
Yeah.
Right. And they do it. They do it well. And I love watching their stuff.
Yeah.
They do like grapplers and stuff.
Like the TED Talks like that Skydio puts out there. Like, it's not a TED Talk. It's just them putting on a demo, but you're like, this is awesome. Like the way they present it. I saw the most recent one. Okay, so we're going to tech nerd out here for a second for those listening. But the most recent one that I saw Skydio do, and they're not a paid sponsor or anything like that. This is just me being a police nerd. All of a sudden a Tesla truck comes out. And I know that love Tesla trucks or hate them. To me, as a kid, an 80s child, that's how I pictured a future truck.
We used to draw things like that.
Yes,
like that.
Yeah. So it is not an impressive piece of machinery by any means as far as aesthetics. But when I pictured a future truck as a kid, that's what I pictured. And so I automatically like it. You know, and then the stainless steel, kind of the DeLorean look, you know, to it. So that pumped me up as well. So now you've got an all blacked out Tesla truck coming out, and this arm deploys out of the back, like not just any like robotic arm. I mean, it is like a futuristic, can manipulate and move in any direction. It brings out this drone out the back, and you look at this drone and it doesn't look like a drone that you've ever seen. It's a fixed wing drone, but it's launching off of this arm because the arm's scooting back in a way to like project it in the air like it's a NASA mission all of a sudden, and then it just shoots straight up in the air, takes off. It's got hours of flight time, where I just told you guys earlier, most drones are like 20 to 40 minutes, and here you got this new piece of technology and the way that they present it, and then they show it fly. I mean, the police nerd in me was screaming. I thought it was cool, and I love that shit. So yes, when you talk about Skydio, I have been singing their praises. I've never even used them. I've never used Skydio. So I can't even speak from personal experience. I can just speak about the way they present their stuff. And
they never stop.
And
they never stop pushing.
No.
I like that same feeling. The ethos of my company is we don't stop.
Yeah.
You know, we're big on when we, and Skydio is this way too. This is the product that we're selling to you. It's not promises. It's not something that it might become someday. This is, here you go. Mm-hmm. Same way here. Now, that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Here it is. It's finished. It's exactly what you want, the way you want it. But hang on.
It gets better.
We're building more, you know, and we're going to improve that constantly.
Yep.
Because there's no end to that.
Mm-hmm.
and the more agencies bring in more data from the
Yeah.
more sensors and sources in general, the more we can do for them.
Yeah.
It is nice not being in the hardware side of things.
Yeah.
That's a hard life.
Yeah.
But all of the things that I heard from the outside about software, oh my God, nothing's ever finished. It's always half baked and stuff. It's incredible to land somewhere on the sales side, no less, that I know that when I'm there and I say, this is what we can do for you, we're going to deliver on that. And then wait until next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait for the updates on this.
Let's talk about something that I think is overlooked in law enforcement. When we get let's say we get Peregrine or whatever, and I start to learn it, or we get Skydio, or we get any of these things. I think one of the things that cops lack and don't do enough is when they have an issue, they don't relay it to the companies to improve. I think that is a critical thing that officers need to start learning to get comfortable with. So maybe you can take this back to Peregrine and any other companies that are out there listening. Give us an easy avenue to send in issues, especially like when they're happening. Like that's a big deal, because you'll get a piece of software or a piece of tech, and then they do an update. And you're like, awesome, cool, new update. But it makes something fall apart on the back end. And you're like, what the fuck?
Like these.
Yeah. And
I just did an iOS 26 update and nothing in my world is right anymore.
Right. So my point being is that in that, officers, if you're listening to me out there, one of the things that you need to start getting comfortable with is reaching out to these companies when you have an issue, when you run into something, or if you have an idea to improve it. Hey, we really like how this does, but if it did this one little extra thing, it would really help us out.
Well, and that's oddly, and it wasn't by design or anything, but how I actually ended up retiring and going into the private sector was the fact that I became a huge feedback loop for the LPR company.
Okay.
That I contracted with into my Intel Center. And I've known others that have done this too, where you're not trying to just help them. You're trying to help your brothers and sisters in law enforcement all over the place.
Right.
And you're saying, hey, I don't know why, but that fire engine keeps coming off and logging as a motorcycle. Yeah. And then you work a little bit collaboratively with them with a few phone calls. You realize it's the large wheel with the big center hub. For some reason, optically and algorithmically, it sees a motorcycle tire.
Right.
Oddly.
Yeah.
Right. Because this is part of the learning curve of being a operator or practitioner of technology in the law enforcement field and learning to work with your vendor.
Yeah.
And I also preach this a lot. And it was before I ever got into private work. I realized the value of the relationship and what both sides get out of it when the relationship is very good. Yeah. How you treat your vendors is important.
Yeah. Because what do we end up doing as cops? Shit doesn't work.
Yep.
And they stop using it. Yep. I mean, as hard as it is to get buy-in for officers on something, you can lose it in an instance. And the second you lose it is very hard. And that's why if you're an officer and you're listening to this right now, don't give up because you run into an impasse or something that you get frustrated with or whatever. Reach out to the company,
find your customer advocate, find your customer support, find your sales rep. Yep. Okay. And the more pervasive and more all-encompassing a product is, the more likelihood there is that you'll know who these people are.
Yeah.
If they're not, somebody at your department is a point of contact for them. Find them and tell them.
Yep.
Because a lot of these companies, I mean, the one I'm in now is very, very interested in hearing back.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it is a partnership.
Yeah. It's a symbiotic, mutually beneficial thing.
Yeah. And we do a lot to get information to find out ways that we could improve or change or grow the product in ways that people need it. Yeah. But to hear back, good or bad, doesn't matter. We're very thick-skinned. Tell us how it's working for you, Yeah. And this goes for all technology platforms.
Yes, that's
Don't be
point.
quiet. And it doesn't need to be a LinkedIn post in front of the world. It doesn't. You don't have to do that. God, it can just be an email.
Yeah.
The LinkedIn kind of drives me crazy with some of the stuff on there. Just but
I'm a big user of it. I love it.
I'm on. read LinkedIn all the time, and it's almost kind of like a news channel for me for the industry itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I also get to see how other agencies are using different technologies and things like that too. So,
Yeah.
and I keep track of people that I know,
Yep.
and what they're saying. But feedback is incredibly important. Having the relationship, it's not just a money exchange, especially when, like with our company, we touch everything you want us to touch
Yeah.
in your agency. And then everybody that the agency wants to have to be able to play ball with that
Mm-hmm.
gets allowed to do it. So we're very ingrained in the agency. So the relationship's really important. The feedback is important. It's not you're buying a commodity, a thing, it's not like you're buying just supplies for the year and you could go get it to some other vendor. We're special in that way. We're unique and we're very tailored. And so we want that strong relationship, even when it's not good news, but we still want it. It's incredibly important.
And this brings up a good transition. I think for other officers out there listening, whether you've been a cop 5 years, 20 years, whatever it is, if you find yourself where either the job is not as desirable for you as it once was, the job's not what you thought it was going to be, you're close to retirement, I kind of want, the way I kind of want to end this is I kind of want you to go through what it is like, what to expect for the officers when they switch over from law enforcement to the private sector. I don't think we ever really touch on that enough, or if any. And I want officers to know that there is either light at the end of the tunnel, or there's other ways to serve, or however you want to view that. But transitioning to private sector afterwards, you can start fostering that years before you're about to go get out. Yeah. So can you kind of go down that, what you recommend?
Sure.
And I want them to know what their options are.
I talk to probably 20 to 30 people a year, just guessing. And I don't mean just chatting on a chance meeting at IECP or something like that. I talk to people like in depth on the phone. They'll reach out, or someone will, usually it's a referral. Hey, there's an officer over here. He's thinking of, getting out. It doesn't fit his home life or who knows what else, or end of their career. They're at 29 years and they really want to go do something else. And so I'm glad to have the chat. I really am. Part of it is qualifying what they want, what could they be passionate about, what will feed them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if somebody just says, I just need something that pays me $75,000 or more. Okay. Go on the internet.
Yeah.
Okay. But if they want to work in technology, I got enough experience to understand what that journey looks like and feels like. I also, it's not lost on me that I was very, very fortunate in how I got into it, was not having to spend 6 months working through, what do they call it? There's a system for candidate processing, but it's these automated bots. You could not use enough of the right word enough times, and you're not considered anymore.
Yeah, the algorithm's got to catch you.
Yeah, the candidate tracking system or something. I forget what it is, but those are torturous, horrible machines.
Yeah.
But if they want to work inside of technology that serves law enforcement, I try to figure out, okay, who are they?
Mm-hmm.
Are you someone that needs a very mature company that has defined workflows, expectations, the travel is X% of their time, the earnings potentials are these, and everything is very finite? Okay, you find that in companies that have been doing it a long time that are usually public companies that are larger. And so I try to classify them. Okay, are you searching for that? Does that feed you? Is that where your happy spot is, to be in that type of environment? Or do you want to be in kind of a high growth, but relatively mature? And I say relatively, that's really a poor term, but like Axon is a very mature company, 25 years, I think, probably by now.
Yeah.
Lots of growth always in the company, right? So they do not sit still, right? But it's a mature company. They've got their drive down, right?
Right. Yeah.
But they grow all the time. Okay, that's a place. So there's let's say like I don't know, like a Motorola, right? They've been around, I don't even know how long, right?
Yeah.
Theirs is not, they're not as agile, and nor are they as frenetic as you move down the spectrum here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not down in a bad way. It's just different. Axon, fast mover, big goals, tons of growth in all kinds of ways and stuff. But they have a system down. It's more developed over time.
Yeah.
And then there's everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is different versions of startup, right? And most won't make it. But it's the tolerance for risk. And can you work in a lot of ambiguities in the beginning? You know, because cops like work in ambiguities, but their system at the police department is policy bound and has all kinds of structure to it, right? Not everybody falls into an unstructured environment that's the wild, wild west, right? And there's a period of time early in those startups that it's like that. And there's high risk that the company's going to just turn the lights off, you know, in 6 months or a year or whatever. A lot of them do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then understanding how your compensation works and what you should be looking for with each of these three types of entities or personalities of companies. And different people match different things. So I have a conversation with them to find out what rings your bell, you know, and some work here, right? Some think they work here. Okay. But I really press them to really be introspective,
right?
You know, because I've done this, you know, once before. Now I'm in Peregrine is a startup. Yes. But they're more mature than most. They really are. They're startup only in kind of some technical classifications, I guess. I don't even fully understand all the funding rounds. And at what point, how many funding rounds do you have before you're not a startup? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But I know part of it is your structure, your development, your product, and things like that. That can matter. So startup in one type of area is not the same as a startup in another area in law enforcement, supplying technologies. So the person that can jump in here, all good. It's going to be a crazy ride. Okay. The last company I was with was a crazy, almost 4-year ride. There's tons of experience to learn from and do good. And if you can survive there, you can survive in any of this, but you may not be happy there.
Yeah.
This is the thing I tell people. Don't necessarily believe this is a starting point for you. These other two may be the right starting point because they may be the ending point too. You may enjoy this, but you may not enjoy that. And you're thinking you're building towards that. It's not always that. You know, I know plenty of people that are Axon, have been there for a long time. They're very happy there. It's challenging, but they like that pacing and that pressure. Like I do better under that moderate to high pressure.
Yeah.
Some people don't.
Yep.
Right. So I talk with them a lot and I try and figure out, you know, if I really want them to question themselves enough to know which one of these kind of three things that they fit into better.
Yeah.
And then some of them would say, oh no, I'm definitely this person. Okay. Tell me about that. You know, what are those things that you think, you know, make you fit that? And the people that typically it's the hardest to fit into startup coming from law enforcement.
Yeah,
it really is. Because like I've never worked in sales before. Well, I sold some drugs before, but it was legitimately
fish in a barrel, though.
It's
they don't really care about
it's
you.
a high demand market. Yeah. They can get over the fact that you might be a risk.
Yeah,
but they learn the hard way. But it's whether or not you're going to go into sales, whether or not you're going to go into support roles. There's all kinds of other things like
consulting.
And customer success. Some cops really get a lot out of that, taking care of the law enforcement, you know, agencies they work with. They like that role, and they do very well sometimes in that. So that's the kind of the filtering mechanism that people need to go through that I tell them about. And then it's a matter of, okay, remote, not remote, sales, support, travel, things like this. They're not thinking of all those things. And then you think, okay, there's higher income here, greater risk. Less here and less here. You know, wherever you're going to land, there's different compensation types and levels. And they need to get comfortable with that. Somebody that's leaving law enforcement at 10 years with no retirement built in, all those other things, they may have a lower risk tolerance to that. They may prefer a salaried role that is pretty solid and stable across the board. And in retirement, you have some safety net, but I don't look at it like I'm not in sales because of my safety net.
Yeah.
I'm in sales because I'm very passionate about what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
It was a big leap for me, but I really wanted it because of where I'm at. I could list 25 companies that I would not do this with.
Right.
But
you may consult. You know what I mean? Like, for people that listen, like you don't, just because sales doesn't fit you for this company, consulting
Correct.
might.
Yes. And there's other roles that are support roles, that you might fit there.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing is, just like you were alluding to, what have you done?
Yeah.
Man, that matters.
Yep.
Okay. I'm all for SWAT. I'm all for patrol. All for K9. But I just listed 3 things that do not have dramatically large second career opportunities.
Right.
Now, all of these things bring certain traits that different parts of the market will have higher value to, and there'll be a better connection with. But if you want to have there's retirement gigs and there are careers, and you got to figure that out too. Do I just want to make extra,
Yeah.
for 10 years? I'm good. Or 5 years. Okay. You're a retirement gig. Okay. And that's cool. It serves your needs and you're fulfilling someone else's needs. Right. And that could be 20 different roles. Right. If you're moving in a whole different career, okay, there's a much more serious approach to this. And you need to really look back. What do I have on my table? It's like, I just worked with somebody, and I say I worked with them. I'm helping, cops, they're moving into other things. I just worked with somebody that I just went down the list. And I said, tell me what you bring to the table for the things that you said you want to do. Most of the time it's really short, or it's, I need some help.
Yeah. Or it's outdated.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Like, okay, well, use of force instruction probably is not going to help you in the tech sector. I mean,
not at all. Probably not.
So, and it's not that that's not valuable. It's just that use of force instruction is valuable in a certain area. So
go work for Force Science.
Actually,
that'll help you.
I talked to another guy. He had a lot of defense skills, force, policy, and stuff like that. He'd actually been involved in a lot of it. I told him, hey, here's an idea. Why don't you become a subject matter expert, and work with attorneys?
Yeah.
And you can work on it in a variety of different ways, because once you do get subject matter expert labeling and you do well,
you get called everywhere.
Everybody wants you, right?
Look at Von Kleem for Foresight, that dude.
And there's much smaller versions of that, right? But if you want to go make 100 to 200,000 a year, it's out there.
Yeah.
If you are subject matter in certain things that attorneys need.
But
I know this. My brother's an appellate attorney, so I have some weird insight into this. But
one of the problems that I've seen, and this comes from the NRTCCA stuff mostly, is people will hit me up all the time. Hey, I really like this company. I really like what do you think the odds of me getting hired there? And I'm like, this is where don't be delusional.
Yeah.
Don't have this, like, you've worked, and this is no offense. It doesn't mean you can't get the experience, but you worked for an agency of 16 people in a city that gets 1,000 calls a year.
Yeah.
They arrest 20 people a year. The odds of you having the experience to work for these companies is very low. And you get some people that they don't see anything outside of their fishbowl, where you worked for what I would consider a medium to large size agency for the nation, which has a shit ton of calls. I mean, you guys have a ton of calls. And then, so you've got that experience, but then you go around the country in the private sector now, and you get a chance to see the level of experience and calls and cultures around the nation. And then you're going to have somebody hit you up and be like, yeah, I want to come out and work either where you're at, or I was wanting to work for this company. And then you got to have that realistic conversation.
And I do. And I don't candy coat it. I'm very respectful, because the work they're doing is still really important. I did that work,
Yeah.
And what's funny is people, inside and outside law enforcement, there's a particular perception of smaller agency cops as knowing less. What I have found is some of those guys are extremely resourceful, adaptive, and they take care of stuff on their own.
Right. Because they have no choice.
That's some traits
Yeah.
that are valuable.
Yep.
The thing that they don't get opportunity at is technology, leadership roles, and really deep subject matter expert areas, right?
Yeah.
These are the opportunities that aren't provided by a smaller agency. It's not because they're lesser cops. It's they just don't have those opportunities there.
Yeah. And that's, if I came across with.
Oh, no.
I
just always, when I talk to people about this and I put it to them, I tell them, hey, here's your strengths coming from a small agency.
Yep.
Where does that play well for you?
Because they typically run a whole call where you go to like where I'm at or where you're at. It's like you get the information, you pass it on to the detective. You're not like, next.
So small agencies have some advantages that larger ones probably don't. But over a whole career, someone working at, Dallas or Fort Worth and Atlanta, Chicago, there's a likelihood that they're going to get exposed to a broad range of things and may become expert in some of them that may be valuable in a second career. But there's a lot of avenues out there that not everybody thinks of, like being a subject matter expert in testimony.
Yeah.
There are people that drill down on stuff and they're considered their department guru in something. Guess what? Somebody else somewhere else may value that, but you got to think about it. And I also tell people, get a LinkedIn yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And do not fill your resume with everything that you've done.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody in the private sector, let's say in technology, is necessarily, and I'll tell you a funny twist on this too. Nobody's going to care whether or not you were a great handcuff teacher, handcuffing technique teacher.
Yeah.
You don't need to put that on there. And I'm telling you, I've seen these things, where there's 4 pages of resume. And I go, okay, first let's get this one, maybe 2, if you've really done some crazy, wild stuff that's really applicable.
Yeah.
Most of this should fit on one. And then let's tune that in to highlighting the things that are for the employer that you're really wanting to work for.
Yeah.
And your LinkedIn page too. It should change over time depending on what your interests are and where you want to go, but it should start 5 years before you exit or you think you're going to.
Right.
Whether that's retirement or just earlier. And understanding the rest of the world is very different.
Yeah.
What they're looking for and what they're not, you need to think about. So oddly, I did not put narcotics work in my background on my resume and stuff, nor my LinkedIn and stuff. That was a long time ago and doesn't seem really relevant.
Yeah.
Turns out I hadn't put it on there, but it did come up just in conversation during the interview process. My interview process with Peregrine was really long because people said, you've never carried a quota or done sales. I go, I get it. That's the mechanical part of this. I can learn those things, and I promise you I will learn those things. All the other stuff is what I know that I bring to the table. And they got that. But one of them, he was like, okay, But then all of a sudden he just came out that I'd done narcotics work. And all of a sudden he was like, sold. Not literally that, but at that point he was like, I know what that entails, and I know what those guys have to do.
Yeah.
And what I didn't understand was it's the same thing I've said, you know what? Bartenders can do sales.
Yeah.
Bartenders can do all kinds of
things. They make great cops.
Service industry people can do a lot of stuff, man.
Oh, God. Another one.
Yeah. Because you handle people in all states of life.
Yep.
And you've got to kind of move them certain ways. And they're just service industry people are an untapped resource.
100%.
Yep.
I would take a barista or a bartender over a fresh college grad. Any day.
Yeah, they got life skills and they've been through stuff, and they've lived hard.
Yes, for sure.
That is not easy.
Yeah.
The times they have to work and the pressures and the relationships in the workplace and outside, those are good picks. The narcotics thing was, and I remember bringing this up in a sales meeting once. Someone was like, "Oh, sales are so hard." It wasn't my company; it was previous, and they were moaning how hard it was, and I was like, you have more inbound requests for your product
Yeah.
than you could have time to deal with.
Yeah.
And so I raised my hand and I said, let me put hard selling in perspective. Hard selling is, you know, being the new guy in the neighborhood and you're in a storage unit at 2:45 in the morning with two guys you don't know. And if you don't gain their confidence, that's where you're going to stay the rest of your existence for the next 10 minutes while you die.
Yeah.
So that's actually hard selling.
Yeah.
You know, gaining rapport, confidence, trust. Yeah. Do it in 90 seconds. Tell me if it's easier now.
Yeah.
It is. So
trying to convince somebody that you need to find the supplier because you got a bigger buyer, that you've got the credibility for the weight that you're trying to push, like
there's
stuff like that. Yeah.
all of these things. And oh God, try managing snitches.
Whew. Oh yeah.
Okay.
CIs. Sorry. Confidential informants.
I come from a different time.
Yeah, you can't call them homeless. They're the unhoused.
All good.
All different things.
All good. I roll with it. I do.
Yeah.
In where I'm at, I touch all kinds of, really not now. Now I handle everything in the northern third of Texas.
Okay.
Most of my previous 4 years was anywhere on the map that was a major city or county. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got exposed to a lot of different terminologies and ideologies and all kind.
Yeah.
I
just learned the unhoused
tremendous swaths of personalities of cities, states, and agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be shocking. You have an idea. There was an agency that's a large national level agency that I ran into that I was so shocked at the politics and where they landed on the spectrum, because I just had an idea they landed somewhere else. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is an entirely different approach. We need to retool everything to make sure we understand where they're at. It's kind of like take people as they are and where you find them in life.
Yeah.
And that was the lesson with one particular large agency. Taught me that rule in law enforcement. You take things as they are right when you show up.
Yeah.
It absolutely translates to what I'm doing now.
Okay.
You know, it really does.
Yeah.
And having that perspective, you know, will help because you won't be caught off balance, you know, with an agency that's telling you these things and you're trying to catch up.
Okay.
Listen to who they are.
Yeah.
Learn them.
Awesome.
But but for people wanting to get in, understanding that what skills, I never thought narcotics work with translating technology, but yeah, it does apparently in sales because it's still selling. So
good to know.
Yeah. Don't underestimate what you've done isn't translatable, but reach out to people like me and others to help you not have a resume that nobody wants to read.
Yeah.
LinkedIn and having those connections, really seek them out. And don't be afraid to like if you like somebody, if they wanted to work at Peregrine, if they reach out and they say, hey, can I have 10 minutes? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how many times would I have wanted that? Maybe, you know, I've been very fortunate in my career, my second career path, you know, but I understand the value of having people help.
Mm-hmm.
People will help. They really will. So don't be afraid to get on LinkedIn and just reach out to someone and say, hey, this is who I am, a little bit of my background. I'm looking to shift. Can I get 10 minutes of your time just to bounce stuff off of you and just get an idea? I'm not trying to have you connect me with a hiring manager. Oh, do not send me things that say, hey, I've applied at your company. Okay, well, I'm kind of out of it now.
Right.
Because you're part of HR's process, you know, so, and I don't know you. But can you connect me to the hiring manager? I don't even know who that hiring manager would be necessarily, you know, and I don't know you. So that's an unfair imposition on me. And I hate having to say no, but I've come up with a polite way of saying, heck, I really can't help you there.
Yeah.
You know, but reaching out to people, literally just asking for 10 minutes, 15 minutes of time, people will do it.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that across different areas. Yeah. Connect with people on LinkedIn. It's not like you're asking about on a date.
Yeah.
You're just saying, hey, you're doing something that I might want to do. I'd like to connect with you. And maybe I'll send a message to you. You don't have to right away. A couple of weeks later, you send a message, hey, I connected with you on this. And this is what I'm looking at. It may not, your company may not ultimately be where I go.
Yeah.
But can I have 10 minutes?
Yeah. No.
Especially cops.
Yes.
That are in this, they will help cops.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's fun because I've seen a lot of the people starting with my own dad, and then just the transition of all my friends, like Dalton Webb, another one.
Yep.
He was my mentor in the real-time crime center, and watching him transform over into the private sector and thriving, and you switching over, and other people that I've met along the way, jumping over, Lenny, one of our buddies, just watching these guys that kicked ass in police work and seeing that, they still had the drive. The drive was still there.
And you're not cashing in on anything when you do this, especially when you're doing it from the perspective that I'm actually going to go out there and help these guys.
Yeah.
And that means that you need to select a company that you can be passionate about.
Yes.
That you can say, I believe in this. I remember I sold cameras in high school and college. I had a little camera shop, but it was mostly pros that came in there, or at least advanced shooters. And I learned something. I was an amazing kid selling stuff on the things that I really believed in, which were mostly really, really high-end stuff that always worked really well. All the gadgetry stuff and everything, I knew it didn't work.
Yeah.
And so I didn't sell it well. The owner's like, well, you're getting like 2% commission over there and nothing over here. I was like, yeah, but they're happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah. They're returning.
And so I did that. Well, it's the same idea later, 40 years later in life. I'm like, sell what you're passionate about, that you really believe in, and that really serves a impactful purpose out there.
Yeah.
So
that's good. It's good. It's a good way to kind of close it out. I wanted the private sector thing with cops and getting out. I just want them to know that their options they're there before they're done. Like, you don't have to wait till you punch the clock and you're like, all right, now I got to go start looking. No.
Way too late.
Start getting that wheel greased right away. Like, it's as soon as you think that you want to do something outside of this. I mean,
start talking to people that are doing those things, because they'll tell you, things that are super important.
Yeah. Yep. Me, for instance, I've still got 10, 15 years, but I've already developed these relationships with all these different companies and stuff that I'm passionate in.
And a lot now just by being close to all this. There was the chief revenue officer at the office at the company I was with before. He told the other people that were cheerleading for me to get on with the company. He said, do you really think he's going to be okay with it when we pull back the curtain, they see really the craziness behind all this?
Yeah.
And I was like, cops work in chaos.
Yeah, that's how we thrive.
They look forward to this. I mean, nobody wants to sit still. Give it to me.
Right.
There's very few people. This is why service industry works so well sometimes. It is chaotic. Constant problem solving.
Yep.
A bizarre optimism in life. So don't discount that just because you've been a cop that this does not translate.
Yep.
Make it translatable, build skill sets that matter, and do it in a time frame that actually meets your exit point if you've got a point where you're really exiting. And if you're exiting because you didn't have a choice and it's public in newspapers, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
I've had those calls too.
Yep. Yeah.
Are you the same guy that I just Googled 5 seconds ago?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Did you have an incident in Milwaukee somewhere?
Yeah.
I don't think we have a place for you, sir. Right now, it's not a good fit. But all right, brother. Well, before we end this, do you got anything else you want to get out there?
No, I'm good. You're going to be at ICP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll be out there.
I'm sending out messages all week long right now, and trying to get people to come by and see me at the booth and stuff. We've got a huge booth this year.
Do you?
This is a big breakout year for the company.
Oh,
this is when we went fully national everywhere. So this year means a lot to us, and we've dedicated a ton of resources there. I think there's like 80 or some odd people from our company that will be there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So in a bald-faced pitch, do come by, see us, spend a small amount of time with us to see if this is something that we're offering that fits you. If it doesn't, awesome. Yeah. We're still going to throw a couple good parties. So
nice. I'm excited about it because I have no pressure now. Like, we just did our conference.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, try to get new members. That's it. That's pretty easy for me. I just got to go around and talk to people. So
yeah. And I've already told a few people to come by the booth and see y'all too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate it, brother. Well, we'll see how this cut turns out, but I appreciate you being on, man.
Good.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So while we roll out of this, I'm going to try this new switcher out and
Oh,
see if it
let's see.
ends the way that it's supposed to. Let's check it out.
Good work.